jean zipper, medium weight needle, and top stitch thread.
Okay, so today we are sewing Butterick 6326 View B. First thing it says for us to do is to sew the center front. We're going to use just the standard 5/8 inch seam allowance and standard stitch length. I'm a big pinner because I'm really obsessive about my fabric lining up and being really straight. So I have serged my seam and then I press to the left. The directions say to top stitch at this point, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait and I'm going to top stitch the front side pieces all together, because if we do it now, we're going to have to keep taking our thread out and replacing it with a top stitch thread. So I'm going to go ahead and put the side front pieces on and then we'll top stitch. Okay, so I've applied one side seam, pinned it down, side front, I'm sorry, and we're going to go ahead and find the notch and we're going to pin the other side front. Okay, we're going to make sure to do both sides. Serged my seams and I pressed my sides to the, side front pieces, I pressed them both to the sides, and that center piece is pressed to the left. I made sure to press on the front side of the fabric and the underside of the fabric. And then I've trimmed all my loose threads off, okay? So I'm gonna move my stitch to a little bit longer length, maybe like 3.5. And I'm going to place my foot on the inside edge, so it's probably like 1/8 away from the seam line. And you want to kind of have a guide so that when you do it, it's completely, even and the same on all the pieces. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to top stitch, and we have in top stitch thread, and I've chosen white, jean white. There's like a golden color, there's white, and there's one other color, so I think cream, like an off-white. So I'm doing white top stitch thread, and it's for denim, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and top stitch all 3 pieces. And also I've only changed the top thread. I haven't changed or done anything to the bottom thread, okay? Make sure you're keeping your seam nice and flat. Okay, so you want to do all 3 pieces, and then we're going to go on to the next part. If you don't have a serger to finish your seams and clean them up, then you can use a pair of pinking shears. Or you can trim your seams and use the zigzag stitch to finish your seam. Just look in your sewing machine manual and there should be a zigzag looking stitch. Okay, so now we are finished with our front piece and we're going to start our back piece. So you have piece 3 and you have your markings. We are going to pin. And then your last pin should stop at the dot. This is where you're gonna stop sewing, Okay, this is our back piece. We're leaving open this portion because that's where the zipper is gonna go, all right? Okay, so the next thing it says to do is to baste the zipper opening. You're gonna baste that close. So we're gonna put it on the longest stitch length, and we're gonna make a basting stitch here from the dot to the end. Okay, so we have serged our seams and then pressed them flat, pressed them open. Remember, you have basted the zipper area together, and the bottom part of your back piece, it's left open between this dot here, okay? So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna apply our zipper. So I purchased a metal jean zipper because at first I was going to have this zipper be exposed. I thought it would add nice detail, but then I realized that I had white top stitch thread and I couldn't find a silver zipper anywhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and just apply this zipper according to the directions in the pattern. So I have my zipper foot placed all the way over to the left. I have a long stitch length because we're basting. You're going to pin or hold your zipper about 5/8 inches down. You want your zipper stop to be there. In the directions it says to place it at the dot, but there is no dot on the pattern piece. So then you're going to place your zipper foot so that you're stitching approximately in the center of your zipper. You want to make sure that you're keeping your foot edge outside of the teeth, so your stitch is going to be close to the center of the zipper tape as you're sewing. So you're going to just sew a stitch straight down, making sure that your teeth are along the seam line, okay? When you get to the bottom, I like to close my zipper. So then you just want to make sure that you sew the remainder of the zipper, teeth in the center, straight down, okay? So I'm gonna veer away from the directions a little bit and just share with you how I do my zippers. So I'm gonna press everything nice and flat and lay my fabric piece on a flat surface. And then I'm gonna find where the stop is and I'm gonna pin, okay? I'm gonna pin it there because I want it to be nice and flat, all right? And then I'm gonna take some more pins and I'm going to pin down this unsewn side of the zipper, this side here. Actually, I'm gonna pin this way because I usually sew from this direction, the opposite direction, okay? And I'm gonna pin all the way up, nice. Okay, so now I'm going to set myself away from the zipper stop, and I'm going to just make a basting stitch. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. And then I'm gonna make another basting stitch. These threads will be taken out. You just wanna hold your zipper in place. And I'm close to the kind of edge of my seam allowance here, okay? Basting stitch. Nice and flat, keeping everything nice and flat. Remember, it's a basting stitch, it's gonna come out, but you want everything to stay nice and flat. Okay, when I get to my zipper stop here at the top, I'm going to take my last pin out and I'm gonna push my zipper down. Now, so I'm gonna leave a little space around where this stop is and make sure it's lined up good. Everything should be lined up at the top. Okay. And I'm just gonna baste it down. Okay, So I've taken out the first few areas of the basting stitch, and because I want to be able to move my zipper. So I pulled my zipper down. I'm going to start sewing very close in here, outside of where the basting stitch is, and I'm gonna go ahead and sew my zipper down. Now this is at a regular stitch. And I sew slowly when I'm doing zippers or top stitching because you don't want to make any mistakes. So I'm going to sew in far enough to be able to take my zipper back up. Okay. There you go. All right, you're going to take your zipper back up and out of the way, and then you're going to go back down and start sewing some more. Now you got to kind of get around that zipper stop. Sometimes with like the metal ones, they can be big. Okay, so make sure that you're keeping your foot aligned to the center seam. Keep everything nice and flat. Now you're gonna feel this stop coming up here, the stop right here, just so that I don't sew over it. I'm gonna stop right under the mark. Okay. Turn, and you wanna go straight across. And you're gonna stop. I'm gonna reinforce it there. Okay, so you want your zipper foot to be right along the edge of this zipper, okay? So I see the line, so I want my zipper foot to be on the edge of where the line is. Keep everything nice and flat. Okay, so we're gonna have to pull our zipper down again. I'm gonna just open up the basting stitches a little bit more. We don't need them now. Okay, so we got our zipper out of the way, and we're just gonna continue sewing along that seam. At this point, you should have completed your zipper. I'm going to show you your zipper. It's inserted, it's nice and flat. We've trimmed all of the extra stitches away and threads, and we have opened up the basting line so that the zipper zips up and down freely, okay? So then you should have pinned down your final back pieces, and they are pieces 4, number 4. So pin down both sides, and we're gonna go ahead and sew in a 5/8 inch seam. Okay, so we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna stitch both side pieces number 4 now for the back. And you're gonna do this for both sides, and you're going to serge and then press them towards the side. So press your seams out towards the side pieces, okay? So we're gonna do that and go on to the next step. Serged our seams in the back for both the side panels, side back portions, and we finished them off and pressed them out. Now we're gonna go ahead and top stitch both of those pieces. Okay. Again, you want to make sure that you take your time. You want your top stitching to be as straight as possible. If I mess up on my top stitch, I take the whole entire thing out because top stitching and fixing in the middle of your stitching does not look good. Okay, now we're gonna take the front and the back and we're going to pin the front and back together down the sides. And again, I find my top and my bottom and my notches, and then I pin everything else once everything is lined up good. Okay, so I've gone ahead and finished sewing my front and back together. I finished off the edges of my seams, and now I'm going to press them flat. Pressed our seam, so it should look like this on the inside. Now we've turned our skirt right side out. I'm going to open my skirt. Okay, and then I have my back pieces number 5 and 6. I've prepared them already by applying the interfacing to both sides, to the back side of 5 and 6. So now we're going to stitch the front to the back of the facing. So we're gonna find our notches, and you wanna pin. Okay, now that you've pressed your seams open, you're gonna find the unnotched side, finish off with pinking shears or a zigzag stitch, but I'm gonna finish off the edges of my face. Okay, so now we're going to pin our lining to our skirt, matching the notches and the side seams. So I'm gonna find my notches. So I just wanted to share what I'm finding so far. I did a fitting, so I know that the skirt is running a little large, okay, a little on the large side. And with the stretch, I definitely don't want that, but I just wanted to show you. The back pieces, they line up perfectly. The front pieces, not so much. So here are my notches, here are my side seams. Look at how large it is for the front piece. So when I try to lay it flat to pin it, there's no way to do that without like super stretching the waistband, and you don't want to do that. So I'm gonna have to take the side seams out and adjust that. So I'm gonna take out the side pieces, and then I'm going to take in the skirt a little on the front. So after fitting the skirt and measuring some things, it looks like the skirt is off by exactly 5/8 of an inch on each side. So all you need to do is take out, actually I didn't even take it out. After I fit it and pinned it and checked some things, you're just gonna take your scissors and you're gonna cut on the exact seam line where you sewed, and then you're gonna pin again and do another 5/8 inch, finish the seams, press open just like you did before. So as you're gonna see, it's exactly, the skirt is cut, the waistband fit exactly perfectly, okay? It's the skirt that was cut too large by 5/8 inch all the way down the side. So when I line everything up again, we're just gonna sew 5/8 inch seam. Okay, so we're gonna stitch right over where the zipper starts here. All the way around. Make sure everything is flat so the seams stay open. Okay, so I've pressed the seam up. Now I'm gonna understitch. Okay, so we finished understitching. And so we're going to turn in the facings. Make sure that it clears the zipper when you fold it down. You want it to clear the zipper so that it stops beyond the zipper teeth here. I'm gonna pin it. We're going to hand stitch this down, okay? Then we're gonna turn in here, and you're gonna press this as well. Make sure everything lines up. You're gonna pin it because you're gonna tack it here. So you're just gonna do a tacking stitch, like a stitch to keep it secure at those areas, okay? I'm gonna be doing it all the way around all of the seams. So just kind of pin them at the seams. Hold everything down nice and even and smooth. Pin it, and then you're gonna tack. So here at these seams, okay? Okay, so now we have pressed down our waistband. We've tacked it and pressed it down. Everything looks great. So we're gonna go on to the hem. I'm gonna mark 2-inch depth for the hem. So you're just gonna mark the hem. You can stitch a basting stitch if you want to do that. It doesn't matter. Just want to mark the depth of it. Okay, so I've finished off the raw edge. I've marked my seam depth of 2 inches. Also, my skirt was shortened by 1 inch before cutting the fabric because I'm short, so I knew I would need to reduce the length. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pin my hem down all the way across. Okay, so now I'm going to blind hem stitch the bottom of my skirt. And you could do this by hand. If this was a delicate fabric, I would probably choose to do it by hand, but this is a sturdy fabric and my thread is almost perfectly matched. Like you really can't tell that there's any difference. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the blind hem stitch on the machine, okay? Okay, so we just finished doing the blind hem, and you are going to just smooth it out, stretch out the hem, make sure everything is attached down. Okay, so I've pressed my hem, whoops, and I'm gonna go ahead now and we're gonna do the back opening. So you're going to need to fold under 5/8 inch narrow, make a 5/8 inch narrow hem. So you should already have your 5/8 of an inch kind of ironed in. So when I was pressing down my hem, I made sure to press down 5/8 inch along the back opening as well. So you're just gonna tuck under to meet the crease and you're gonna pin. Okay, so we're gonna do that all the way around, both sides. Okay, so I've switched my needle to a heavyweight woven needle because the denim here is gonna be thick. So we're gonna go ahead and sew and try to be as even as possible from the edge so that one part of your hem is not, you know, opening or stitching is not thicker than another or wider than another. To the needle where we want to pivot. So So I'm gonna just make sure I'm staying nice and straight. Okay, so I'm gonna pivot here and keep it nice and straight. I'm gonna have to take this pin out. Okay, now we're gonna pivot to go down the other side. So you might have to lift up to kind of get started on the seam since it's really thick. Okay. Trim all your threads. And you are basically finished with your high waist stretch denim skirt. Now you still have your hook and eye to sew at the waistline, but you guys don't need me for that.